Now, before I watched Future Diary, I was in a happy and up and coming relationship. But now, she's stalking me, killing people, threatening anyone who comes near me, and taking the kids. Now, I just wanted to do a quick retrospective on Future Diary, okay? Because let's all be honest, okay? Back in 2010s, whenever that anime came out, that anime was weird. Now, I want you to comment in the comment section below, like, what was it that did it for you, right? Was it the phones? Was it the murderous girlfriend? Was it the time travel loop plot that got really weird and complicated for no reason? Or was it the fact that they became gods at the end and the whole thing was a test of some sort put on by some cat god thing? Now, like, looking back at this series, right, a lot of things went wrong really fast with this series, because at first it would turn out alright, right? Because when you first watch a series like this, you might get some Erased vibes or some Death Note vibes or some Tokyo Ghoul-esque, like, murder mystery-esque vibes, right? But then when you really get into it, this anime is like someone took a line of crack and started writing. Now, that's not to say the whole thing was bad, right? Because the whole concept slash plot of, oh, he looks at the phone and it tells him what's gonna happen next, and he has to either avoid it or end up getting bodied by it. That's a funny plot, but not funny, but it's funny in terms of how good it is, right? Because with that plot, you can go far as your imagination is willing to take you with that, right? But it all depends on who that concept ends up with. And sadly, this concept ended up with this writer, okay? Not to hate on that guy or whatever, right? But the way this all was handled was no, I'm not gonna lie, bro. Like, how do you go to gods and just all this extra dimension jumping, time looping crap, bro? Like, I honestly to this day still don't know what the hell I watched. And it was even worse with the fact that we basically had to deal with the main character being an incel for most of the show, being a simp that really couldn't fight for himself, and with very much so carrying him throughout the entire show, right? Now, we've had these type of dynamics in shows before, right? And honestly, if it's handled the right way, it really won't be all that bad. But in this sense, he just kind of got annoyed, bro. He let himself get pushed around by whoever, whenever, didn't matter what time or place. But like, if you were there and you exerted some type of dominance over the main character, he was like, okay, like, he hated his girlfriend, well, I wouldn't say he hated her, he was scared of her, yet he still folded to her at a moment's notice. And I remember at some point during watching the anime that it overall got kind of annoying to me. Like, I wanted to see him get raw, okay? And it wasn't until the very end that he started showing a tad bit of Chad dominance. Also, don't let me forget the fact that this anime created a whole generation of just straight yanderes. Like, I'll never forget the Mirai Nikki fandom, bro. Like, there were so many girls saying, stan her, like, all this crap, and they were cosplaying as her, probably even thinking about murdering some of their own boyfriends and being overprotective of them, bro. This created toxic relationships, okay? Listen, because I promise I wasn't seeing no girls be overprotective and killing for their boyfriends until this show came out. This was also one of those shows where barely anybody gets a happy ending, so at the end you were kind of left with a sour taste in your mouth too, right? Like, even the cop and the ninth Future Diary user, the girl with the missing eye or whatever, they barely got a happy ending. They had to go to a different universe in order to get that. But really, other than that, right, ended up dead, and she had to come back in an OVA of some sort that I didn't even watch, but I heard it was just as bad as the show. And he ended up depressed and a god, but with an empty universe, and his powers were going to be useless anyways in that universe, so he couldn't bring back the one girl that actually loved him all along. And he ended up just as mentally deteriorated as anybody else by the end of the show, and he's supposed to be the main character. Like, honestly, it got to a point where the show kind of feels like a dead end of a show, you know what I mean? And when I say a dead end, I mean like that type of show where at the end of the day you kind of wonder, like, what was the point? What did you gain from watching this, you know what I mean? Like, honestly, I'm gonna give the show a 6 to a 7 out of 10, okay? Because for a large majority of the mystery aspect, it was enjoyable up until the very end when the whole God and time loop stuff got involved. That really ruined it for me, right? And it became more of like an end of the world type of scenario, type of thing, okay? It's almost like the writer didn't know where to go with the show after a certain point. But those fight scenes were gas though, like every fight scene where Yuno was throwing hands, chopping up, killing people. That was raw, bro. Like, they really snapped on that aspect of the show for me, in my opinion. That made up for a lot of parts of the show that were lacking in terms of the whole simp and Yuno situation and all that. It was just, overall, I wouldn't call it a train wreck, but I wouldn't call it a happy accident either, okay? And yeah, this is really just a retrospective on Future Diary. It's more so of a watch or not watch. It's something that you can honestly skip in comparison to a lot of the shows that are out today. Like, it's one of those animes from a couple years ago that everybody was talking about that caught a lot of heat because people were honestly just binge watching it and there for Yuno and how crazy she was. It was a huge meme in the community for a long time ago, but it just honestly died out. And other than that, there's no reason to go and look back on that show, okay? Like I said, I give it about a 6 out of 10. Overall, hit or miss for me. It doesn't matter. You really ain't got to go watch it. But my name is Time Pizza, and I will see you pizza people later. Peace.